Do you recall the excitement of waking up early for Saturday morning cartoons or rushing to the arcade to drop your last quarter on Pac-Man? How about the top feeling that came from rocking a new pair of light-up sneakers or collecting Cabbage Patch Kids? No doubt the 80s were full of fun, color, and unforgettable memories. It's Memory Surge. My name is Kevin, and we reveal the 30 things that made childhood awesome in the 80s. Let's dive right in after you subscribe, of course. Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday mornings in the 1980s were event television for kids. You would wake up early, sometimes even before the sun, pour yourself a sugary bowl of cereal, which could be Cap'n Crunch, Trix, or Fruity Pebbles, and park yourself in front of the TV. Then you begin to choose which one to watch with your siblings. Back then, there used to be a great lineup like the Smurfs, Thundercats, the real Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. They brought color, chaos, and adventure right into your living room. Yes, no DVR, no YouTube, no pausing. You had one shot to catch your favorite episode. And once the clock hit noon, game over. The cartoons vanished, and grown-up programs took over. Arcade games. In the 80s, Pac-Man had kids darting through mazes with ghostly enemies hot on their tails. Donkey Kong made you leap over barrels to save the damsel. Galaga dropped alien swarms faster than your thumbs could keep up. If your initials made it to the leaderboard, you were basically royalty. In an era before online multiplayer, arcades were the social network. There was no pause, no saves, just skill, timing, and the thrill of knowing your last quarter could be the start of the amazing story you would tell in school the next day.
Sony Walkman is a tiny stereo cassette player with truly incredible sound.
Walkmans. When Sony dropped the first Walkman, the 80s folks felt like nothing could top it. Suddenly, music wasn't confined to living rooms or car radios. You could take it anywhere. It was your personal soundtrack for life, as it could accompany you literally anywhere, whether biking through the neighborhood, sitting in class pretending to concentrate, or zoning out in your bedroom. Mixtapes became modern love letters as friends made them for birthdays and crushes made them for crushes. Whether side A or side B, you knew exactly when the good part hit. Fast-forwarding and rewinding required patience, and when the tape got stuck, you used a pencil to reel it back. Life was good and simple, too. HeMan and Shirro. Every 80s kid knew that when school ended, Eternia began. HeMan and the Masters of the Universe brought laser battles, magical swords, and Skeletor's glorious cackles into our homes. Shirro, the Princess of Power, his counterpart, was a fierce, intelligent warrior who saved the day just as often. They taught values too, lessons about friendship, bravery, and standing up for what's right. But let's be honest, we came for the action. And those toys? Oh my God, they were absolute gold. Kids would reenact episodes with action figures while also building entire kingdoms out of couch cushions and cardboard. Nintendo Entertainment System. When the NES dropped in the mid-80s, every kid suddenly wanted to save Princess Peach, stomp Goomba, and master those impossible jumps in Super Mario Bros. The pixelated magic of that 8-bit world pulled us in like nothing before, whether it was. T&M here was blowing into the game to make it work and getting your parents to agree to just 5 more minutes. It was a daily struggle, but one that kids eagerly looked forward to. And if you beat a boss level, you instantly acquire the Playground Legend status. Light-up sneakers. If you showed up at recess with light-up sneakers, you were the moment. Each step lit up with a flash of red or green, and kids would always turn to look because they couldn't help but be fascinated. Kids today will never know what it feels like to be walking fireworks. Even if you couldn't outrun the fastest kid in class, those glowing heels made you look like you could. Whether it was LA Gears or knockoff brands from the local shoe store, it didn't matter. The goal was simply to light them up. And of course, there was always that one kid who claimed their shoes made them run faster. Kids believed it. The only sorry part is that the batteries would fade eventually and the lights would stop blinking, but not before you got a solid few weeks of peak playground fame. Scratch and Sniff stickers. In 80s classrooms, stickers were social gold. If you had them, you walked differently because you knew you had unspoken status, and nothing was more prized than the almighty Scratch and Sniff. Kids proudly stuck them on notebooks, trapper keepers, and sometimes foreheads. Teachers handed them out like trophies, so if a kid did a good job on their spelling test, they could expect a sticker. Also, once class was over, the bartering began. One pizza-scented sticker could get you 3 bubblegums and a mystery fruit. The more unusual the scent, the rarer its value. G.I. Joe action figures. Before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there was a toy box full of heroes called G.I. Joe figures. Each tiny soldier came with his own code name, specialty, and an origin story printed right on the packaging. There used to be explosions, laser battles, Cobra villains, and the unforgettable PSA tagline, "And knowing is half the battle." These figures, they were for full-on backyard warfare. Kids built forts from sofa cushions, crafted jungles in flower beds, and used the garden hose for epic river rescues. Some Joes lost limbs, some had epic ninja skills, and all were part of missions only you could create. Cabbage Patch Kids. In the 80s, Cabbage Patch Kids were a full-blown phenomenon. With their pudgy cheeks, yarn-like hair, and adoption papers, these babies sparked schoolyard envy and Christmas morning chaos. Each one had a name, a birth certificate, and a totally different face that made every kid feel like they had something truly one of a kind. Parents fought in stores to snag one during holiday shopping frenzies. Oh, they fought. You were either lucky enough to have one or knew someone who did and begged to hold it. Whether you dressed them, fed them imaginary snacks, or tucked them into shoebox beds, these dolls felt like real friends. School book fairs stirred excitement like seeing those metal shelves roll into your school's library or hallway. Book fair week had arrived. Suddenly the movement shifted. Everyone had cash from mom tucked in an envelope, and decisions had to be made. It was either the Goosebumps or the Babysitter's Club, or a poster of a Lamborghini or a tiger with a rainbow. You could literally smell the fresh print, hear the soft flick of turning pages, and feel the buzz in the air. Treasures and a shiny pencil or novelty eraser to boot. Book fairs made reading cool, and for many kids, they laid the foundation of their love for books and stories. Slap bracelets. They started out as innocent fun, thin metal bands wrapped in neon fabric. But one snap and they curled right onto your wrist with a satisfying thwack. Slap bracelets were the highest 80s fashion statement. They were part accessory, part toy, part mystical weapon. Every kid had at least one. Some had animal prints, others were holographic or glittery. Can you guess the best part? The sound it made when you smacked it on your wrist or someone else's. Of course, teachers weren't fans. They were banned in classrooms after a few too many accidental face slaps and bent-out-of-shape injuries. But best believe it, that didn't stop the obsession. Boomboxes. Back when headphones were optional and volume control was a suggestion, boomboxes were a must-have. These massive, battery-hungry machines blasted everything from Run DMC to Madonna, announcing your music taste to the world. People in those days hoisted on a shoulders like a badge of cool. They weighed a ton, chewed through D batteries like candy, and made you the unspoken DJ of any gathering. Now, whether you were breakdancing on cardboard, chilling with friends at the park, or walking down the street like you owned it, the boombox was your soundtrack and your swagger. Trapper Keepers. The Trapper Keeper, covered in neon lightning bolts, jet fighters, or wild geometric shapes, screamed cool. Every 80s kid wanted one because it wasn't just about organizing homework, it was about showing off. Velcro flap? Check. Snap-in folders? Check. Secret stash of doodles and notes passed in class? You can count on it. You could even hear the signature rip of that Velcro across the room, a sound that meant someone was ready to handle business. Whether you were drawing hearts around your crush's name or sketching space battles during math, the Trapper Keeper held your life. Sure, teachers grumbled about the noise or how it was more fashion than function, but to 80s folks, it was essential gear. Choose your own adventure books. No two kids read these the same way, and that was the magic. Choose your own adventure books let you step into the story and fully experience it. Would you fight the dragon or sneak past it? Go left in the cave or right? Each choice took you to a new page and possibly straight into danger. Half the time you would die horribly, and the other half you would go back and cheat your way to a better ending. We didn't care. These books turned even the most reluctant reader into a page-flipping strategist. Kids would read them over and over. Not only that, they would try every possible outcome like a puzzle with multiple solutions. Playground metal slides. How could anyone forget the metal slide? Tall, shiny, and dangerously hot by noon. These were the 80s idea of playground fun, where they slide to either glory or a blistered backside. The worst outcome didn't stop the kids. They would line up anyway, sand or gravel beneath, daring each other to go faster. The brave ones would shoot down face first or try standing at the top before sliding. In winter, it was an icy chute of doom, and in summer, it was basically a skillet. Rubiks Cube. The Rubiks Cube looked simple. You know, just match the colors. But this little cube was a master of mind games. You would twist and turn, sure you were getting closer, only to mess up the entire thing with one wrong move. Some kids solved it, others peeled the stickers off and faked it. Either way, it sat on bedroom shelves as a symbol of genius, or at least attempted genius. In the 80s, having one made you look smart, even if you had no idea what you were doing. Rubiks Cubes showed up everywhere. Name it, in commercials, classrooms, even cartoons. Alf. He was short, fuzzy, loud, and had an appetite for cats. Alf was more than your average sitcom star. Crashing into the Tanner family's garage from planet Melmac, Alf quickly became the sarcastic alien America didn't know it needed. With his wisecracks and constant schemes, he turned every episode into chaos and a bit of charm. Kids loved his furry face and rebel energy, while parents chuckled at the dry humor. Plus, the puppet magic behind Alf was impressive for its time. He wasn't animated or CGI. He was real and he had presence. If you had a lunchbox or toy and Alf wasn't on it, then it wasn't cool. Pogo Balls. Remember the Pogo Ball? It looked like a toy planet, half ball, half platform, and all kinds of awesome. The goal was to stand on it, bounce around, and try not to eat pavement. It wasn't easy, but once you got the hang of it, you felt like a superhero in space. Every kid had scraped knees and stubbed toes from wiping out, but that was part of the fun. In recess, showdowns, or front yard bounce-offs, whoever stayed upright the longest won bragging rights. Garbage Pail Kids card. If you were a kid in the 80s, Garbage Pail Kids were a total obsession and a parent's worst nightmare. These trading cards were the twisted cousins of Cabbage Patch Kids, featuring characters like Atom Bomb or Leaky Lindsay, with cartoonishly gross details like oozing noses or exploding heads. They were disgusting, inappropriate, and completely addictive. Schools banned them, which only made them cooler. Trading these cards was serious business on the playground. You would swap 3 lame ones just to get a holographic gem. Kids laughed, adults groaned, and tops cashed in. Leg warmers. In the 80s, you didn't need a dance class to wear leg warmers. Thanks to workout queens like Jane Fonda and movies like Flashdance, these cool tubes of fabric became a major fashion statement. Neon pink, electric blue, stripes, glitter. There was a pair to match every outfit, especially if your outfit already included spandex. And guess what? Most of the kids then never even worked out. They just wore them because they looked rad. Leg warmers weren't just for keeping calves warm, they were the final touch on a carefully coordinated outfit. Atari consoles. Before the PlayStations and Xboxes of the world, there was Atari. It brought the arcade into your living room, and suddenly, your TV became a portal to endless pixelated adventures. With games like Pong, Centipede, and Asteroids, Atari was mostly about imagination. Holding that simple joystick, you felt like you had the world at your fingertips. Every beep and blip was part of the experience. Sure, the graphics were blocky and the sound effects were basic, but back then, it was magic. Lisa Frank everything. If you were an 80s kid, your pencil case had to be a Lisa Frank masterpiece. Think rainbow leopards, cosmic dolphins, and unicorns that looked like they were dipped in glitter. Lisa Frank school supplies turned boring classwork into a burst of color and fantasy. You had folders, notebooks, stickers, and even trapper keepers covered in neon art. Boys might not have admitted it, but they knew Lisa Frank ruled the supply aisle. Everything felt magical, as if owning these supplies would somehow make homework less awful. Walking into school with a Lisa Frank binder gave instant status. The brand was bold, unapologetically fun, and a full-on celebration of imagination. Big wheels. For the 80s kids, big wheels were their first taste of freedom. With that oversized front wheel and low-riding plastic seat, they felt like a mini daredevil zipping down the sidewalk. There were no brakes, but they felt no fear. You would pedal like mad, skid around corners, and crash into the bushes without a care. The plastic wheels made the glorious scraping sound that let the whole block know you were coming. If you had one with a handbrake, then you were royalty. And oops, how could we forget the custom stickers, the flames, lightning bolts, or your favorite superhero? For many of the 80s kids, it was the first ride they ever loved. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. When E.T. hit theaters in 1982, every kid left the cinema dreaming of befriending an alien and taking off on a BMX bike under a moonlit sky. Elliot's bike ride with E.T. in the basket wasn't just cinematic magic, it sparked real-life bike envy. Suddenly, kids everywhere were out riding, hoping for liftoff. The story was about friendship, wonder, and believing in the impossible. Stuffed E.T. dolls flew off shelves, and phone home became part of playground vocabulary. Without mincing words, E.T. made childhood feel limitless, and for 80s kids, that was everything. McDonald's Happy Meal. Toys. In those days, you didn't go to McDonald's just for the food, you went for the Happy Meal. The excitement of opening that red box with golden arches was unmatched. Inside it was tiny burger, small fries, maybe an apple pie, and most importantly, the toy. From mini Hot Wheels to tie-ins with movies like The Little Mermaid or Batman, The toys were often cooler than what came in your cereal box. Some kids even collected the boxes themselves so they could trade toys with their friends. The Goonies. The Goonies were a bunch of misfit kids. A treasure map, booby traps, pirate gold, and bad guy. After watching it, you and your friends would immediately start plotting your own backyard adventure with the conviction that a hidden cavern or treasure chest was just waiting to be found. Mikey, Mouth, Data, and Chunk became childhood heroes. Kids quoted the movie constantly. Goonies never say die, and they probably tried to invent their own gadgets like Data, even though most didn't work. Transformers. Toys. In the 80s, Transformers were not ordinary toys. Some even called it an obsession. Kids could twist and fold them from cars, jets, and trucks into epic robot warriors like Optimus Prime and Megatron. And if you had Starscream, you were a legend. The thrill of transforming each one was half the fun. The animated series made them heroes and villains in our eyes, and every commercial was a mini blockbuster. Schoolyard trades were fierce. These toys sparked creativity, problem-solving, and maybe a few broken pieces when transformations went wrong. Roller rinks. The roller rink was where 80s kids lived. Birthday parties, Friday night hangouts, awkward first crushes. It all happened under glowing disco lights and to the soundtrack of Madonna, Michael Jackson, or Kool and the Gang. Renting those chunky skates and lacing them up felt like a rite of passage. You would wobble at first, then zoom off or even crash in a loop around the rink. There were races, dance skates, and if you were brave, the limbo would challenge. Pop Rocks and soda, urban legends. Every 80s kid knew the legend where you eat Pop Rocks and drink soda and your stomach would explode. A little secret though, it was all false, but that didn't stop the dare. Pop Rocks were fizzy, popping candy that cracked and sizzled in your mouth like a fireworks show. Pairing them with cola was the test of courage. Kids would gather around, egging each other on, swearing someone's cousin's friend's stomach really did explode. The myth even caused the company to pull ads for a while. TV dinners on a tray table. TV dinners were permission to eat on the couch, watch TV while chewing, and feel like an adult. The silver trays divided meat, mashed potatoes, corn, and that one brownie that was always too hot. You would set up your foldable tray table, microwave your meal, or wait forever in the oven, and settle in for an episode of Knight Rider or the A-Team. It felt indulgent, like a holiday. No sitting at the family dinner table. Just you, your meal, and the glow of prime time. Got a fun 80s childhood story related to anything in this video? Share it in the comments. Best one gets a small cash prize, and I'll share one of mine in the next video, so don't forget to subscribe.